Welcome back to episode 4, New World Fantasy Football. I'm Andrew Marchese, my co-host, Paul Kiefer. What's up, Paul? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Take two.
Take
Um,
two.
we had a little recording snafu there. So I think a lot of our takes and jokes, unfortunately, will be lost to the annals of history. No one will ever know the amazing, greatest content of all time that no one will ever see.
That's cool. It's like this song by Tenacious D. Now,
Yes,
this is
this is the tribute.
this is a tribute. This is a tribute recording. So, yeah, man. So let's just go ahead and recap. Let's recap last weekend. Uh, you were definitely more right than me. We both had the Chiefs over the Jags. Uh, my homer pick of the Giants was dead wrong. They got smashed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The 49ers, I was right on that one. 49ers over Cowboys. And then you had the Bengals winning over the Bills, and you were very right on that.
Yeah. I was right about the Bengals winning. I thought it was going to be a narrow victory. I thought it was going to come down to one play. It was a thorough smacking. The Bills just, man, I just don't think that the current iteration of the Bills are built to win right now. I think that they're super talented, but they feel kind of one dimensional to me. They don't have traditionally a strong running game. And then if you take Diggs away and force Allen to be like a tactician in the pocket, I think he struggles there. And look, the elbow thing, like it matters, right? Like everybody wants to think of that as an excuse, but it is a real thing. He busted up his elbow, and as a Josh Allen Homer and Stallion rider all year, I can tell you that he looked different all season long after busting up that elbow. I wasn't surprised about the Giants. Man, I just I had a I had a feeling that it was going to be a tough game for them, just because I felt like the Eagles just had a better roster, top to bottom. Cowboys are freaking frauds. This is the second week in a row that I allowed a fraudulent team to just straight up like lie to me. I accepted it. I was like, you know what? You're right. 2 decades of narrative about the Cowboys never winning the big games doesn't matter because there's no statistical mathematics that I can put to that. And I think this is a totally different team with like a good defense. No, they freaking blew it, like they always blow it, like they're gonna blow it forever, for as long as Dak is a Cowboy. Done with him. I think the city's done with him. um, he broke with his girlfriend and ended up dating a chick that's way younger and hotter. So I guess not everything is bad in his life right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, freaking rocking with Brock, man, that's crazy. This man, this man's the 49ers, dude, unbelievable. Like they they really don't miss a beat. Like Brock didn't play well. He didn't really play that well. It didn't matter. Their defense destroyed Dallas in the entire game, and Brock was able to avoid a couple big mistakes that would have made a difference.
Yeah, Brock is the real deal. He can just operate that offense the way it needs to be operated and get the job done. So yeah, that was it was a fun weekend, and it gets down to the nitty gritty. But fantasy, our little fantasy 1v1, recapping that. You are in the lead by almost 20 points, 19.8 point lead with 80.76 for you and 60.96 for me. And Travis Kelsey smacked my face multiple times as he does every time, every year. If you don't have him, you wish you did. That's the story on Kelsey. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's been the story of his whole career. I mean, we had a little debate back and forth of, whether or not he is the GOAT. I don't know that that really matters. I think when everything is said and done, I think he's going to be the GOAT, especially with such a focus on pass catching and stats these days. He's not slowing down. Um, Hurts was the right quarterback. AJ Brown was the wrong receiver, but I'm going to be interested to see how this works going forward now, because there's less players to choose from. So now it's going to get interesting.
that's how I like it, man. I like to be interesting. Yeah, so my team kind of let me down with like nobody really blew up. That was the thing. That was the big difference. Was like my guys besides Diggs just being a major dud, unfortunately, was kind of blah. So yeah, unfortunate. You'll have the first pick this time. I had it last time, and yeah, but we'll do that towards the end. So just kind of general news, rumors. What rumor slash news is the most interesting to you?
Yeah, I guess I don't know that you can really call it a rumor, but I'm just really, really curious what's going to happen with this Niners quarterback room. Like, so you hear the rumblings, right, that they've already made a decision that Brock is going to be their guy going into next year. But man, that's it's kind of hard to believe, right? Because um Trey Lance still gets an incomplete, right? Like we've talked about this before, I think. Like I haven't really seen anything like that impressive from Trey Lance, but the sample size is so incredibly small that you can't cancel a guy either. They traded up for him. They gave up a lot of assets to get a young, you know, could be electric game changer playmaker. Garoppolo's been effective in pretty much every opportunity that he's had to run that offense. Brock Purdy's been super effective in running that offense. Has he lost yet?
I don't believe he's lost a single game as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, it's the old saying, right? You're entitled to defend what you have until you lose it. So I think that, what if this freaking guy wins the Super Bowl, right? Like, so I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I think the seeing Purdy and Garoppolo both have success makes me feel like in this iteration of the Niners, a lot of quarterbacks can have success there. But there's gonna be something. So like where does Jimmy go as probably the odd man out, being the older statesman there? I think he gets a chance somewhere. And then I want the popcorn effect of Trey Lance and Brock Purdy quarterback controversy next year. I don't think it's that set in stone. Um, I'm gonna be really curious to see that.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of that king of the hill game where right now Brock Purdy, I mean by default or whatever, he's the king of the hill on the quarterback room there, and it's going to take somebody to knock him off, whether it's himself just tumbling down, or Lance just looks so good next season that they feel like, well, we can't even. We have to get this guy on the field. I believe it will be Brock Purdy. Reason being is, yes, you're right. Trey Lance has not really gotten a fair shake because he just hasn't He didn't start year one really. Didn't he start like 1 game, 2 games, something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, a couple.
And then he got hurt like week 2 or whatever it was this year. But I just feel like Shanahan's system and just the players around Brock Purdy, just that San Francisco offense, they don't need this like game buster kind of plays. Like they just need a point guard. And Brock Purdy's doing a fantastic job being Steve Nash out there. Just dishing it where it needs to go, and the scorers are taking care of business. That's what it seems like to me. But
Give
everybody
me
knows.
yours.
Yeah, and that has a negative connotation, but I don't believe that's fair. I mean, if you're a good game manager, you have every right to have a shot at being a starting QB. And if you've got McCaffrey, Debo, Kittle, and Ayuk out there on every game, like, and then don't forget Eli Mitchell, very solid back, and I think his name's Juwan Jennings. He's like their third one. He's pretty solid himself. So you've got those weapons out there every game. Like, dude, that's all he has to do. And then the defense is making sure the game don't get out of hand on the other side. So like, yeah, like if that's your formula for winning, why bother changing it? That's my opinion on it.
The defense is amazing. The offensive line is amazing, and like, but here's my question to you: does it make a difference in your mind? A very possible outcome. Purdy, the clock strikes midnight on the Cinderella story, has a bad game. Anybody can have a bad game against the Eagles. The Eagles are a good team. Has a bad game. 2 picks, 3 picks. Looks like shit. Eagles blow them up like they blew up the Giants. I still can't see them blowing up the 49ers. I'm not going to say blow it up, but the 49ers can't really score. Eagles end up winning. Purdy looks bad, looks like a rookie for once finally. Does that make a difference in your mind for how you see that controversy going into next year?
Definitely does. It's like your whole goal is to win the Super Bowl. So if a guy shows you he's not capable of really stepping up in the big games, which I think Purdy's been fine, big game or not, like if he shows you though that, all right, he's going to be somebody who can't handle the big game pressure, then you're going to have to kind of move on, because that's the whole goal. Like why should any team settle for anything less than that?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I actually do, agree with you that it does make a difference, but isn't that funny? Because should it make a difference? Because okay, like look at this, some of these recent examples, right? Josh Allen just had a terrible game. Josh Allen's going to get plenty of chances. Josh Allen's not going anywhere. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. Did that really make Nick Foles a great quarterback? No, I think everybody pretty much knew that Nick Foles kind of was like a pretty whatever quarterback that had a magical run. And of course, like everybody chased that sugar high, signing him to like 3 or 4 contracts after that. And it never worked out. So isn't that weird that the entire narrative and the conversation about Brock Purdy is going to change based on a couple games? If he wins the Super Bowl, this man is going to be in the GOAT conversation. I promise you, San Francisco fans are going to say this is the next Tom Brady. Probably not true, but isn't that crazy that the whole narrative is going to come down to what's going to happen in a weird playoff game against one of the best teams in football?
Yeah, so thanks for the reminder on the Eagles stomping the Giants once again. Always appreciate that. Yeah, dude, I'm not going to try to predict Brock Purdy's career. Like, dude can be a game manager for one of the best rosters in football. That's great. I'm not going to take anything away, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to try to predict who he is after like a 7 or 8 game sample size,
Yeah, I don't envy San Francisco because they're going to have to do that. That's the
Not
problem.
really. Not really. I mean, they've got both guys. Not yet. They've got both guys under rookie contract still. Lance is going to his third year. This is, Brock's first year.
Point.
So, like, they're gonna have time, and then maybe they pick up some guy who's just kind of fringe QB to be the third QB, or maybe they just go with two and they have a guy on the practice squad or something like that.
But
But
Jimmy,
yeah, that's
right.
so that's my most intriguing thing, which is probably pretty normal this time of year. Is for me, it's just the QB carousel. You've got Derek Carr on the move, possibly Lamar Jackson on the move. Aaron Rodgers seems like he's going to be on the move every year, and then he resigns with, or doesn't get traded from Green Bay.
He loves the controversy. He's a natural contrarian like me.
Yeah, he's pretty annoying, but dude could throw a damn football, so everybody wants that. At the end of the day, that's what his job is, and he's great at it. So, yeah, this year was a little rough, but whatever. I'd say 2 MVPs and a career of being a beast is fine for me. One down year happens. So yeah, Lamar Jackson, I've already planted my flag. I think he's going to be on the Falcons. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's going to make it so difficult for Baltimore to re-sign him that they're just going to get to this point where it's like, I'm done. Even Baltimore is going to be like, dude, you're not even worth all this frustration. If you're going to be like this for the next 5-6 years, whatever we sign you to, all guaranteed money, and then when things don't go your way, you're gonna come back crying and being like, more money, and be like that meme, like, I don't know if they're gonna really want that, but I don't know. I feel like Atlanta would be a great spot for him. He's got a few weapons, and they can get him some more in this draft, build up that defense, like. Yeah, I mean, I think Lamar Jackson has a legitimate shot at making the Falcons at least a fringe playoff team. So that'd be my thing, is just where are these QBs going to end up, and it's all speculation right now. So it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's always fun to speculate the quarterback carousel. I think what usually ends up happening is more quarterbacks don't move than we think are going to move. Like, I still think the most likely landing spot for Lamar is on the Ravens on a freaking franchise tag. Boring, lame. But I do think that's what probably ends up happening. Aaron Rodgers, same thing. He's making so much like ridiculous money. I just don't think realistically that happens. Nathaniel Hackett getting a job with the Jets. Okay. I know we're talking about the quarterback carousel, but we need to talk about what the F is going on with the Jets. We need to put a pin in that conversation. Yeah, I mean, I think Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo are the most likely ones to find new homes, and some quarterback desperate teams are going to take them on. Cough, cough. Colts, cough, cough, cough. Buccaneers, cough. I wonder. I don't know. Like, I don't want Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a handsome dude. I think he's a fine game manager, like we said. I know that the Niners have an incredible roster and one of the most innovative coaches. Everything that you've done in that offense, I'm cutting in half when I'm predicting that you're moving to a team that's got quarterback problems. So I am not valuing Jimmy Garoppolo based on what he's done in San Francisco. So I'm out.
He's played with Bill Belichick as his coach and Kyle Shanahan as his coach.
Yeah.
And he's been able to win games. And also, let's not forget that the Patriots had a nice defense too.
Yeah.
Who's there? Watching Jimmy Garoppolo these past few years, even just this year, like, very frustrating. Feels like he should be better in that offense than he was. Like he missed so many throws. It's a timing offense. His timing was off a lot. Like, I don't know. I feel like the team, it's crazy to think that your backup quarterback getting hurt and now your third string guy is forced into action has actually been the catalyst for your team to go on an amazing run, because you're like, it's like they woke up, like the players around and coaches are like, oh my God, this guy's actually really good. Like this guy can actually run this offense the way we want it to run. And they're all like, Brock, you are the man. Like, let's do it, man. Like they are behind that guy,
So
And then
we can both agree that Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant rookie, has clearly been better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. I don't sit there and grind 49ers tape, but yeah, I mean, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, grinding tape just means watching the games and just being like, yeah, I think this guy looks better.
I'm I'm grinding tape. I'm sitting on my couch with an orange soda and some goldfish, like, oh my, this guy has 3 touchdowns. Like, no. So yeah, now not even what?
I said, let's be real. The dude's grinding tape or crushing orange soda and Cheez-Its also.
Maybe some coffee, 3 a.m. Like, man, I gotta be at work at Walmart in 3 hours, but I don't care, man. I'm grinding this. Like, yeah. So the other big thing is the coaching carousel, so to speak. Like, what happens with man? I really hope Jeff Saturday is not a head coach next year. I really, really hope.
I really hope Jeff Saturday is not a coach next year. I'm gonna jump in because now I'm passionate about this shit. Why did you do this to us, Jeff? Why did you freaking do this to us? Like, one of my favorite Colts of all time. He's incredibly respected across the organization. Love Jeff Saturday. Legit, probably if there is a not of greatest players, if there's a Mount Rushmore of most respected Colts, he is up there. Was up there because you had to come in and be the worst coach in the entirety of our franchise history. I'm a leader of men. You're freaking. I can't, bro. If Jim Irsay literally sees what he saw in the last 7 games of this season and says, yeah, that's what we want, and runs it back with Jeff Saturday, I'm done. You heard it here first. I'm done. One team guy again. Then it's all in. It's all in on the Buccaneers. I'm over it. Like, because clearly our owner is no longer interested in the best interest of the team. He just wants his friend, Jeff Saturday, to have an opportunity to be a head coach. He hasn't earned it. Love him to death as a player. He has been a objectively trash can coach.
And he beat the Raiders in that first game, and like,
oh, that's another trash can coach.
Josh McDaniels is like the ultimate retread guy. Yeah, dude. Jeff Saturday, please don't be a head coach. Like, dude, be an O-line coach. Like, why can't that be the? But I guess the issue is like Jeff Saturday is in like an amazing position. He's like, make millions on TV, make millions losing games for the Colts.
Go back to TV, please. Don't let our relationship with you end like this. Like, we love you, Jeff. Like, just don't do this. Don't force us to go down this path where we have to hate you. Like, please don't do that to us.
I feel you, man, and that's not even a perspective I was looking at because I'm not as invested in the Colts as you. But speaking of my own team, I'm getting a little nervous because both the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, actually, I think the Colts have interviewed both.
The Colts have interviewed everyone. The Colts literally have had, like, I'm not even joking. I swear I heard like 25 names that they've interviewed. They clearly don't know what they want, but that's, rant over. I'm sorry. You can say.
Yeah, man. Well, Mike Kafka, the OC for the Giants, has gotten like I think 3 or 4 interviews now. Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator, has gotten an interview, maybe 2. I think I know he's had the Colts, but I'm not sure beyond that. I have to look into that. But I'm like, please don't let these guys leave after 1 year. I trust Dable. I think he can find the right guys, and he'll be able to hit what he wants to run and be totally fine. I would imagine that Wink Martindale stays on the Giants because he's a defensive coordinator, which they're not as popular, and he's like in his 60s. So I feel like he's probably not getting a job beyond defensive coordinator, which is like, sorry, man, I like you, but I don't want you to leave. Like, I don't want them to set you free. Like, just be the Giants defense coordinator.
Well, that's probably his last chance, right? If he's going to be a head coach, it has to happen like right now because he's about to get into the geriatric era.
Yeah. So that's a tough one, but dude, let's jump into these meat and potatoes, man. Our top 12 running backs for this upcoming season. This is disclaimer. This will change. Definitely will change. And there's some notable guys, some notable names that I left off my list personally. And let's see how much we match. I've got my handy dandy note right here. I wrote this morning.
I don't think we will match actually at all. I kind of went in a weird direction. I think at least when I was doing this, there's so many scratch marks on this paper. Again, because I think it's so subject to change, and because I'm trying to project how these players are going to look by the time everything shakes out going into next season.
Yeah.
But quick shout before I do this, the best interviewer in the world clearly is Nathaniel Hackett. Obviously, like he can completely smash an interview because obviously the Jets didn't care about everything that happened with the Broncos offense that he was in charge of for most of the year. But that's a separate thing. So do you want me to go through my list? Do you want to go through your list? Do you want to kind of do like a name for name type thing?
So let me just say, Hackett got hired as the Broncos head coach because he was successful before. He had a terrible year as a head coach. Maybe he is okay as an OC. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like he needs to get completely stomped out as an OC because he is bad as a head coach, So anyways, I think that's a bit of overreaction on Nathaniel Hackett. But Jets fans are never going to be happy. And how could you be? How could you be? Your team just like is a dumpster fire all the time. Even when it looks good.
Joe Cool, Andrew. 1 year of Joe Cool.
Yeah, I mean, 50 years ago, it was like, you got to get over it at some point. But anyways, dude, yeah. So let's just see if our number ones match.
Okay. You go.
This is razor thin McCaffrey. Okay.
And I guess we should go number 2, and then we can talk about why we chose to jump that person or persons.
Okay. So we agree on McCaffrey, number 1.
Yep.
Great offense, good runner, pass catching ability, scores touchdowns. You know the drill.
Oh yeah.
Number 2, who do you got?
Eckler.
Yes, as do I.
We made these lists independently, folks. I swear. There is going to be a divergence here at some point.
I think that's probably most people's top 2 for now. Maybe they have Eckler ahead of CMC, but I feel like that top 2 is going to be pretty standard.
I I feel bad for saying this because I love Austin Eckler and I think he's just like an amazing player, but I have to go with McCaffrey higher. I do think Eckler probably sees more volume next year. I believe that, but I just think that the Niners are a better team. They have a better run scheme. They have way better offensive line, and I just think that I think McCaffrey is going to provide a ridiculously safe floor next year. I just don't see how he doesn't have an easy path to 12 touchdowns. I just don't see it.
Yeah, he's going to be solid all year. And like we're ranking him number one. It's funny, we're ranking him number one probably, and we're ranking him number one, and I would bet against him ending as the number one next year, because the safety is so good. You know, like you are going to have a very safe, consistent RB1 for your roster, presuming there's no torn ligaments, but that can be said for any player. So, anyways, number 3, I have got the man, the myth, the legend, the ogre, Derrick King Henry.
Interesting. Man, that's a tough one for me. I of course, like from 3 on, I had to start looking at him. I actually leapfrogged him with Saquon in my list. I'm going with the younger player. I'm going with the better offense. Derrick Henry is going to keep proving me wrong every year. This is probably the second year in a row that I've said he's going to have somewhat of a drop off. I say somewhat of a drop off because I'm not saying he's not going to be off my list entirely, but he's built different. Definition of a built different guy, but I actually have Saquon ahead of him because I still think he has plenty of juice left, and I think that offense maybe doesn't take like a gigantic leap forward next year, but has to take some kind of jump, whatever that looks like. So I feel good about Saquon third there.
Yeah, so I'll get to him, but he's not in my top 5. And I'm the Giants fan here, so
Oh,
Derrick
terrible.
Henry is pushing the big 3-0, and he actually might be 30 starting next season. Dude's a tank. You know, I mean, he's been durable as hell. Like last year, I think he like had a little something here, something there. Dude, a 30-year-old running back, you're going to be banged up at some point. Like it happens. Touchdown upside is just incredible. And we talk about touchdown regression all the time, or you hear that in the industry a lot. And this guy's going to regress. And by the way, just to put it in, I absolutely hate the term positive touchdown regression. That's called progression. There's a word for that. Stop saying positive regression. I hate that so much. But
It's the math nerds that love that term.
the term is just stupid to me. Like, just say progression. So, anyways, dude, I mean, the guy is like a 20 touchdown plus guy, like a threat to do that every single year. You know, you're telling me like I can see this dude score 120 fantasy points just off touchdowns alone, not even to mention the yardage. Like he's a game winner, a week winner, at least like 3 times a year.
He's a scary guy to play. When you see Derrick Henry across the fantasy matchup, your sphincter tightens.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a matchup this year where it was Derrick Henry versus not even at, not that really matters that much, but versus Houston. I was like, oh my, there's 40 points. So, you know,
what did it actually end up being?
like 35.
No.
Yeah.
You got lucky.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I got away with a bad game from him versus Houston. So my number 4. Well, actually, you already said who your number 3 is. So who's your number 4?
Number 4 actually is Derek. I still have him inside of the top 5. I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't personally probably take him right there, but I believe he deserves to be there. Just like you said, for all the reasons you said. I don't need to get into all of it.
Yeah. My number 4 is scary Josh Jacobs.
Mm. Mm.
Josh Jacobs, this is of course assuming he stays with the Raiders, which I think he will. He'll get tagged if anything. Been a great runner his whole career. He had some scary optics early in the season, and we're still scared of that because it was we're trying to still decipher what did that mean. Well, it meant one of two things. It meant one, they don't plan on re-signing him and they were going to run him into the ground, or two, they just love him that much and he was the most consistent part of the offense. So, we're just going to ride him and obviously Adams as well, but it was all Jacobs all day. Dude's a great runner, can score touchdowns, gets involved in the passing game enough. He's kind of like a little bit of a elevated Chubb when it comes to the passing game. He's like 85% runner. He'll trickle in a little bit of pass catching here and there. But yeah, I mean, dude's a stud. He's been a stud. He was obviously a stud this past year. If you want to take one of these next couple guys ahead of him, I'm not going to say you're dumb, but he's my personal number 4.
So I think we need to spend a little bit of time here because, and if there is a Raiders fan out there in the Twitter sphere, they're not going to like this, but he's out of the whole top 12 for me. I don't have him on the list whatsoever. I'm scared. I'm out. I'm hitting that red button. I think so. Derek Carr, to me, it was the stabilizing force that was holding the Raiders offense together. Do I think that they keep Josh Jacobs? Yeah, they probably do. And they probably keep Devontae Adams too, because they don't have a choice, like the amount of draft capital they put into them. So they're going to have either a younger quarterback or one of these carousel guys or what have you. But I think Carr's time is officially done. And I think this offense completely craters. Yes, I think Jacobs ends up being fine. I'm not saying that he's going to be a bad fantasy asset whatsoever. Because his volume is inescapable, and he is legitimately a good running back. I just, I'm just afraid. I'm just really afraid of how effective that offense is going to be able to be, in comparison to some of those other guys that I have in the top 10, top 12. And I don't trust McDaniels. I just don't like the vibes around it at all. So yeah, I mean, Jacobs, it's gonna sound very stupid right now because he was actually the number 1? Did he finish number 1 at the running back position?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So I'm predicting a crazy drop off, but crazy drop offs happen all the time, and I think it will. I think he becomes an RB2 this year, not an RB1.
Yeah, I mean, based off of your ranking, that shows to you he is an RB2 after the number 1 finish in fantasy and an entire career of production. He's your on RB2 for you. All right. So number 5 for me. Well, actually, who's your number 5?
Ken Walk.
Yeah, I love some Kenny Walker, and I'm getting there. I'm getting there. My number 5, it's still JT.
Mm.
That
We're both not being homers.
no, I mean, dude, JT, his talent is there. He's what 20, going to be 23, maybe 24 going into next year.
Young still.
Dude's one of the best runners of the ball. I mean, they should be able to repiece that O line enough, and it's just a matter of do they have a functional quarterback? That was really it. It was just a completely incapable quarterback and a statue that just didn't scare the defense off. Like you didn't have to play contain at all. That makes a big difference in running backs. Like if you've got a QB that you've got to play contain on, the lane's open. It's not when you have a statue of Matt Ryan back there. And Sam Ellinger, whatever his name is, Sam Ellinger, he was cute. Dude is a USFL player.
Yeah.
Like he's not going to be an NFL. He reminded me of the previous years, or the previous year when Jake Fromm had to start a game or two for the Giants. Like that's the level I think Sam Ellinger is at.
Sam was the perfect quarterback to tank the rest of the season to get a higher draft pick. He executed that game plan perfectly.
Until so yeah, JT, he had a down year, which I very much felt, and a lot of people felt. But I think that he has top 3 potential next year. Assuming, listen, if CJ Stroud is their QB or Bryce Young is their QB or whatever, they'll be functional enough.
He still has. If you've done it once, and he did it twice, really, I always think you can do it again. Being as young as he is, the little bit of a fear, right? Which JT is still going to. He's gonna sneak in here for me pretty soon. The only little bit of the fear was I watched a lot of their games, unfortunately, and I don't know. He didn't look the same. Even when he did have some holes, rarely, he didn't look the same. But yeah, you're right. Like we can't be prisoners of the moment. It was a trash season in every way possible. So everybody looked bad. Everybody played bad. Everybody looked bad. So spoiler alert: JT is the very next guy for me. So let's just get that out of the way. Same analysis, same conversation. Who do you have after?
So yeah, my number 6 is Nick Chubb.
Same Z's.
Yeah, his it's like he's one of those very safe floor guys who has weekly upside, but it's like he doesn't necessarily have the McCaffrey, Eckler, Derrick Henry upside where you're like, this guy could get me a 40 burger. Like, sure, any player can technically, but I don't see him as like averaging 25 points a game. He's like, you're gonna be happy if Nick Chubb is averaging like 17 to 19 points a game, and that's still RB1 level,
Yeah, and I think that I had the FOMO this year. I had no shares of Nick Chubb. I think I was very scared of that offense.
And Kareem Hunt being there.
Right, and Kareem Hunt being there, but neither of those things mattered at all. He is as talented as anybody running the football. If he even adds a tiny bit of pass catching, he has top 3 potential. Top 3. He's that good around the goal line. He hits holes that hard. The offensive line is actually pretty good. It's above average in my opinion. And I think Deshaun Watson is going to make this offense better. I know he didn't look great going down the stretch, but he also has been getting a whole lot of massages and not a lot of practices in the last couple of years. So I think as he gets his timing back and he gets more into the rhythm of an NFL offense, I think the truth comes out that he is an effective quarterback. And yeah, I think Nick Chubb, we might even have him too low, to be honest.
Definitely could be too low, but if he's too low, that's fine. Like,
let him fall.
I don't think he's, dude, I don't know, man. I just feel like 6 really is the perfect spot because he doesn't have the crazy.
I might be too low. He's 7 for me.
Nah, dude, 6, 7. Like, I think Chubb is one of those people where you're not like super excited to draft him, but then the season starts and you're like, I'm happy I have Nick Chubb on my team. So then my number 7, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because you already said this guy, Saquon. And that's obviously assuming he stays with the Giants. Reports are that he most likely will. Saquon is awesome, but he is a bit capped by the offense. And he has a little bit of the Jalen Hurts to Miles Sanders going on, believe it or not. He doesn't really get looked at that way, but Daniel Jones, he's going to steal some touchdowns. It's not like on the Browns or on the Titans where it's like they're on the one, it's going to Chubb or Henry for sure. I feel like that's less of a guarantee in today's NFL regardless, but pretty much those guys are going to get at least one, if not 2 shots at it. And Saquon has a bad habit of this is probably not his fault, but he's got a bad habit of disappearing in games where it's like down the stretch too. He was like getting 22 to 23 touches a game, and that went down to like 15, anywhere between like 15 to 17. And
it's so effective when a quarterback has legs, and Danny has, I think, let's say he's got at the very minimum top 6, top 7 wheels in the NFL. It's so effective. It's always there. You can pretty much gain 4 or 5 yards running a quarterback almost every time in the NFL. Like particularly on let's call it like an RPO play or whatever. You can pick up those yardage numbers. So yeah, it's gonna take away from the running back. That's why Miles Sanders, you'll kind of get that from this list here. I think he's an amazing talent, but the Hurts effect is real.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying if you are relying on that running back to actually get the touchdown, and then it's just like it's a more efficient play. We're on the 1 yard line, just have a fullback or whatever, an H back ram into Jalen Hurts' ass, and he's strong enough. He's proven he's got strong legs. I mean, you've seen the video where he's like freaking powerlifting like a freaking ton. Like, yeah, I mean, stay upright. We're gonna push your ass in, dude. And like, it's a more effective play. It's a more efficient play, and it means that your running back doesn't get the touchdown. So that's not really happening with Saquon. He's still getting like short yardage attempts, but he just has this disappearing act in games sometimes where it's like and then also just the O-line being terrible in the interior means like he's getting no real lanes to run through. So he's a little bit more Jekyll and Hyde than some of the other guys.
He feels like he needs a home run, which he gets a lot, but he's not the consistent steady Eddie of like a Nick Chubb, for example, or a Derrick Henry that is, consistently getting chunk yardage on almost every drive. So you end up with a safe floor, even on the rare occasions that you don't get a touchdown.
Right, exactly. So who do you have number 8?
So I know you're going to disagree with this one because I feel like you're not a big proponent of him, but I actually have Dalvin Cook there. I think he has steady production. He's not necessarily super sexy, but it's a good offense overall, for its limitations and clutch time. And he has proven to me that he has like 97% ownership of this backfield. So give me that. Give me that at 7, 8. Actually, technically, I think this is for me now.
Yeah, you're on your 8. Recap it on your own, but you tell me.
Yep. McCaff, Eckler, Saquon, Derek, Ken, Chubby, JT, Dalvin.
Okay, cool. My number 8 is Ken Walker.
Mm.
Dude's a friggin' stud. Like, that's it. Dude's a stud. Pete Carroll's there. Pete Carroll he can make an offense work. I think he's proven that.
Run the rock. Loves it.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty balanced, I think, as a coach. Gino obviously had a very nice year. The Seahawks everyone was scared of the Seahawks last year. And now it's like, okay, the Seahawks are a consistent team as long as they have their coach, which I don't see why he's going anywhere. I don't know. And then he's got, to me, Kenneth Walker is a lot like a Nick Chubb, where he's going to have those like very high floor games. And then he's going to mix in some pretty big games as well. So I'm a big fan of him, and just the talent. He's just a fantastic runner. He's shifty. Obviously, youth is on his side, which is great. So yeah,
I'm excited about next year. I had him higher too. Like I'm really in on him next year, and you'll notice that in this whole list, right? Like youth, you'll see a lot of younger running backs jumping ahead of guys.
Yeah, it's a young man's position for the most part, and you see your outliers every so often, but typically like under 27 and under is like where the most production is going to come.
Let's call it what it is, man. I have it written on the side of my list here. Depending on where Bijan goes, he might be on this list.
I have a side note about him. We'll talk about it, but that's very true. That's very true. So who's your number 9?
Actually, Miles Sanders.
Okay, that's fair.
I like what I saw second half of the year. First half of the year, I know you said it, very frustrating. They eventually have to start thinking about Jalen Hurts and the money commitment that they're going to have to make to him. Hurts year 1, what do we have? Hurts year 2, we have a very great player. Hurts year 3 and beyond, I think the thought process grows to how do we protect our franchise quarterback? So I think that's the progression that they have. So yes, of course, like a lot of his value comes from his legs, but I feel like they have to use the running back more than they did in his first couple seasons. When Miles Sanders has been given volume, he's been effective every time. His problem has always been the inconsistency of his role. So I think he actually gets consistency of volume for once over the course of next year, and he sneaks into the top 10.
So like I have him out of my top 12, but the reason being is just doesn't seem like he's going to be used as a pass catcher at all.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think the floor for him is going to be lower because he can have those kind of disappearing act games too, where they're just bringing all their backs in. Sanders, as a free agent.
Goes to Ertz, a touchdown goes to AJ Brown, a touchdown goes to Ken Gainwell, and that's it. That's all touchdowns.
Right. Against the Giants, Boston Scott has to get one. They literally trolled us with that. That was a literal troll. It was
It's in the contract. He has.
It was a literal troll. I was like, when he scored,
he didn't touch the ball all drive. I saw that. He came in for that touchdown.
Yeah, Sirianni just straight up like, we're gonna troll the Giants right now. I'm like, you fucking asshole. Like that's where I was like, all right, let me break out the ice cream carton. So yeah, I can see why somebody would put him there. Just not me. I think like I said, his floor is a little too low for me.
Yeah.
And yeah. I don't know. I don't want to play the guessing game if I don't have to. Like, that's what it felt like. It's like I'm playing bingo every week. It's like, is this a Miles Sanders week or not? So
that's a little bit of a faith call. And I'm completely with you. I agree with you. In fact, like you saying that maybe did in my mind make me bump him down one spot. But it's just the faith that he is the most talented running back on one of the best offenses in football. And I feel like he should get a more consistent role. But yes, if his role stays the same, then no, he does not belong on this list. You're right.
Yeah. I feel you on that. He also has to be re-signed by the Eagles, but that's that's a whole other story. Yeah. Same thing with my number 9, has to be re-signed by his team, and that's the Cowboys. Is Tony Pollard.
Yeah. Are they going to do that? Zeke still is what, 2 years away from his contract being out. Yeah, that was a hard one for me. Tony Pollard was one of the side names on my list that I just couldn't. I can't place him on a list until I have more clarity of what's going to happen. They have a great 1-2 punch with their running backs. They love having that 1-2 punch. But if I'm Tony Pollard, I don't stay. There's only so much running back money you can afford to dish out. And he deserves to go get his bag somewhere. So I feel like Tony P is a DNP for me for this list purposes. But yeah, I mean, assuming he stays on the Cowboys and he continues to be the more explosive runner, then yeah, he's a top 10 guy for sure. I have Aaron Jones next.
Okay, I've got Aaron Jones a little bit further down, but I'll just say let me say my piece on Pollard. Pollard, if he gets signed to a team that's going to really use him as their bona fide number 1 guy, with like just spellbacks, not really using like a 1-2 punch, but like 80%.
Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's possible for sure. I'm just going to talk though him staying on the Cowboys for now. He should absolutely be their top runner. I also think in this past game against San Francisco, a lack of weapons was apparent. And you kind of say like, well, really? Lack of weapons for the Cowboys? It was pretty much CD or bust. So yeah, like CD, Dalton Schultz, meh, maybe he's a free agent anyway. We'll see if they end up re-signing him. But yeah, I think Pollard has the explosive upside on any given play. They're going to want him to be on the field more, even if they throw him into a slot receiver role every so often. I don't see that being out of the question for him. He's had some big catches throughout the year. He's had some big touchdown catches throughout the year. So, we'll see, but I feel like he ends up staying on the Cowboys, and I think it's going to be really, really solid for him.
So he stays on the Cowboys, Zeke stays on the Cowboys, and he delivers as a top 12 running back.
I think so. I think his role is going to be one where offense coordinator is going to be like, get Pollard on the field at all costs. I really do. Like, I don't think he's really going to get taken out of the game for Zeke all that often. It will happen, but I think they're gonna want him on the field all the time.
Yeah, I mean their offense was perfect in their estimation. They were like, Zeke gets the hard yards, go out and plod for 2 or 3 yards for us, and then in situations where we get a little creative, we actually put our better and more explosive running back in.
Absolutely. So you had Aaron Jones, right?
Yep.
Aaron Jones.
I don't think I have been scared of Aaron Jones for 2 seasons. Every time thinking, man, AJ Dillon's going to take over. AJ Dillon's never going to take over. I'm done with it. I'm done with that conversation. I'm done with that narrative. AJ Dillon, I think, is a compliment and will continue to be a high-level compliment to Aaron Jones. But it's Aaron Jones' backfield, and it's Aaron Jones' passing game to me. That floor that he gives you with the catches, yeah, he's a little on the older side for what I prefer for an RB1, but he's been durable. He's been involved in every game. His pass catching gives him a super safe a floor as Aaron Jones can ever be, right? Because you draft Aaron Jones, you understand the Aaron Jones roller coaster. You're going to get some big games. You're going to get some dud games. But all in all, I think he finishes still as a top 12.
Yeah, so I'll just say I have Aaron Jones at 12. And for me, I like Aaron Jones, but I've made this point already once. I don't love the guessing game running backs. Like, give me some consistency. And that's Aaron Jones, unfortunately, his whole career has been a super high ceiling, very low floor. He gives you those single-digit games.
He's different than Miles Sanders in the sense that even when he's not scoring the touchdowns, he doesn't completely goose you because he does still catch passes.
He does, but he'll have those games where it's like Aaron Jones has disappeared. Like he's got 5 points and it was all like, hell, he got 4 catches for like 20 yards and like 20 rushing yards. Like he has those games where it's like, what the hell happened to Aaron Jones?
This is the part of the list where it's going to get interesting. I'm curious to see.
Once again, it's kind of another case for zero RB because we've got such a depth of good running backs, and I think when we get to our wide receiver list, there's going to be more of a sharp drop off. But number 10, who you got number 10?
Man, this is going to feel gross and so freaking boring. Joe Mixon. My only arguments for it is good offense plus volume plus red zone share. It's going to look a little plodding and a little bit lame at times, but he's fine. He'll return RB1 value by the time everything's said and done.
Yeah, Mixon is a lot like a little bit of a lesser Chubb, not in the style of play, but just in the fantasy production. Like, yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that you just kind of like sigh and grunt to yourself as you click the name, but then you're like, all right, like he ended up RB8, like
he's steady.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have a few dud games, a few blow up games, and then the rest is going to be like, what did the offense allow him to do? Because Burrow's going to get his touchdowns. Chase is going to get his touchdowns. Like, we know this. But they're good enough offense most of the times where it's like, all right, if Mixon can just barrel in for a 1 yard touchdown and, do the rest of his normal, get 15 to 20 touches, he should be fine. So I have him at 11. The player I have before him is Travis Etienne.
Flip flop. So give me the analysis, and I'll just agree with you. But that was a flip flop for me.
Okay, so yeah, Etienne, obviously young player. He was kind of like a super rookie since he got hurt his rookie year.
Everyone was a super rookie.
Yeah, he pushed James Robinson out of town essentially. They were like, "All right, this was cool. You're kind of aging." I don't even think Robinson's that old, but he has a lot of miles on him. And they're like, "Yeah, ETN just super explosive, and James Robinson not so much." So, and he's just, he's one of those players to me that I look at ETN, I look at his athletic profile, and I'm like, dude, he just doesn't have the size. But then I watch him run, and it's like it doesn't matter. He breaks a lot of tackles. I think he was top 10 in missed tackle rate, broken tackle rate, or elusive score, or whatever. One of those advanced metrics. Like he did not get tackled by the first guy almost ever. So, and then they use him enough on the goal line. Like I think, and if you believe that the Jags are an ascending offense, which I believe we both do, they've got some solid weapons. Even if they're not super exciting, maybe you think Calvin Ridley coming back could help the offense. We think Trevor Lawrence is going to take a step up. That means ETN is going to benefit, and he's a good enough player in his own right.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm with you on that, and I don't need to spend a lot of time here. It checks all the boxes for me. Plus offense, check. High usage, check. Explosive playmaker, check. Check. That's an RB1 in my opinion.
Youthful.
Yeah, the
doesn't
youth,
matter.
That's a tiebreaker for me.
Yeah, and it's like, and also, that's one of those things too, where if we were talking about Dynasty League, like he's ahead of Saquon, probably. He's probably ahead of Chubb, maybe Chubb, definitely ahead of Henry.
All this year.
But we're not. We're talking about redraft leagues, even a keeper league if it's like 1 year at a time. But so then I think we've pretty much covered them all, because I had Aaron Jones at 12, and I have Mixon at 11, Jones at 12.
My very last person actually was Ramondre.
Okay, cool, man. I like him. His is going to be two things, really. Is he the guy?
In my opinion.
Damian Harris?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I think he's a free agent anyway. Dude, when do the Patriots re-sign a running back to a second contract? Like, they're not doing it.
Yeah, they won't do it.
They're not doing it. And Ramondre's proven that he can, be the workhorse. So, yeah, and it's going to be, what's that offense look like? Are they going to have a little bit more consistency in that offense? Even if they don't, though, like, that's fine. Ramondre will make 8 catches a game and give you a nice baseline. Yeah, I like Ramondre. He's like in that, I don't know, he's close. He's close, because all these guys like
borderline RB1, RB2, but I like him because I know what the Patriots culture is. They want to run the ball forever. Mac Jones is limited. They're going to throw a lot to the running back. And I think he's legitimately good. So I think he's just going to provide steady production.
For sure. So just a few notes. Just kind of like honorable mentions / like question marks. I'm going to start with a name that would typically be in this list that we haven't even talked about yet. Alvin Kamara. Thumbs down, says Paul. Like, yeah, Alvin Kamara is very scary. He still has that court date pending for next season. Does he miss time? There's a good chance. And then at the same time, he just had a rough year, And
it wasn't all his fault.
No, definitely wasn't all his fault. But Kamara is one of those, for me personally, he is one of those, like, just don't even click on his name.
Yeah.
Next year. I don't care if the value's good. Like,
I made a mistake of doing that last year.
What's that?
I made the mistake of doing that last year. I clicked on his name. His name is bigger than his game right now, and that's unfortunate. Love
Yeah.
Kamara. In fact, one of the best championships I've ever run, I've ever had, was on the back of his 6 touchdown Christmas performance. Like,
Oh yeah.
I will always have a place in my heart for AK, but he's checking all the boxes in the wrong side of it for me. Bad team on the wrong side of the 27-year-old mark, and his usage too. Like they were running the ghost of Mark Ingram out there as well. So no, I'm out on Kamara. Any player can be useful for fantasy, but where he will go in the draft is going to be a place where I won't take him. So hard pass.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for me is like I was one of those unfortunate souls that had Adrian Peterson the year where he just like never got on the field because of legal reasons. And I drafted him like second or third overall, just like took the risk. I'm like, and that was a huge fail. Like I just do not want to mess with dudes who
Yeah.
have a serious legal thing pending because hey, listen, any moment judge is like, you're coming to court like in 3 weeks. So be here, be ready. Like I don't want to deal with that. I will say real quick, Dalvin did not make my list. That offense runs through Justin Jefferson now. And I don't know, man. He just was another one of those kind of like he just felt so bleh, for lack of a better term. Just mediocre.
He had some explosive, but yeah, I mean, they better figure out how to make their offense more balanced, or they're going to be doing exactly what they did this year, being a fraudulent fringe playoff team.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of that too is like if their defense can't be ranked 32nd next year. Like if it's ranked 20th,
yeah,
then okay, maybe Dalvin Cook has the chance to be more consistent where they're not like Kirk Cousins isn't just lobbing the ball up to Justin Jefferson 15 times a game. So he wasn't on my list. And this other guy who I think would be on a lot of people's top 12, not on ours, Najee Harris.
Never Najee. I'm a never Najee guy, unfortunately, because I think he's good. I think he's actually good. In most respects, he's not ever going to be like a crazy explosive breakaway runner, but he showed me some things this year. He showed me that he can be an effective runner. He I think got better. Like it's funny, he looked better to me this year than he did last year, but he didn't have as good of a fantasy season this year as last year. Cooked Big Ben floated Najee Harris's fantasy value to a crazy, unsustainable level. Like everybody knew that he wasn't going to catch. I mean, Jesus, did he get? Was it 100 catches or something? I don't know.
I think his rookie year was in the 90s of receptions.
It was
like, yeah, that was very similar to the fading years of Eli Manning with Saquon. He was just dumping the ball to Saquon all the time. Yeah, like Najee was one of those names that could have replaced Aaron Jones or Mixon for me. He's right there, but I like Najee. But as much as I like him, I think he's overrated by the general public.
Right. And that's always the conversation, right? I know what I mean by never Najee is not that I don't think Najee Harris is good. I think he's good, but I'm never going to have him because his rookie year inflated his value in people's mind higher than what I think he should go. He's going to go as an RB1. He should be an RB2.
100%, man. That's exactly how I feel about Najee. Another name I got on here is side note, not to be forgotten, lost for the year but not forgotten, is Breece Hall.
I know. I mentioned that earlier.
He's healthy. If he's healthy this year, all year, or it was a minor injury, he's in our top 12.
Oh, 100%, man.
Yeah.
And he would be. I would be flirting with like the top 6, top 7 with him. He looked so good, man. And it was a pretty significant bummer when I lost him. But I'm also not the guy to rush to the podium and grab a guy right off an ACL. He's young. He's a great athlete. I know he's going to recover to close to 100% off that ACL, but it doesn't happen right away. And when I'm drafting, I've made this decision for drafting in fantasy football now, especially in the early rounds, the top half of the draft. My focus is not on the last 6 weeks of the season. My focus is on the first 6 weeks of the season. Other people might think differently on that, but I'm not drafting the injured guys. I'm not drafting the guys coming off of injuries, whatever. Like, I'm drafting people that I feel great about winning the first 6 weeks of the season, because 6 weeks down the road, that's forever in fantasy football. Waiver pickups happen. Different players break out. Rookies start doing better. Like, I am drafting for those first 6 weeks, and I'm afraid with Brees. Plus that offense.
Yeah, that's really good way to look at it and kind of breaking the season down. I'm even gonna one up you because I'm just like, next level, bro. I'm really drafting for the first 4 weeks, believe it or not. But still, whatever, doesn't matter. Beginning of the season is where your draft is, where you're looking for to really, you want to get out to a fast start. That gives you the margin of error later on in the season. But anyways, Breece Hall, yeah, phenomenal talent. Really should be a top 10 at the very least.
Yeah.
But that injury is scary, and you're going to get an injury discount from next year. It's just a matter of how far down he goes. Does he play the preseason at all?
Right.
How does he look? Like, this is going to be he's one of the guys to keep on your radar and say
their garbage quarterback room. If that improves, that's a big difference in my opinion.
Yeah, that was my next point, was like, who do they have under center for him start of next year? That's going to matter too. Like, yeah, the Jets are a weird team to try to analyze, especially because you got, in my opinion, the best rookie receiver. I thought he should have went before Drake London. And I'm not just saying that now. I was saying that on draft night. I was like, I think Garrett Wilson's the best receiver in this class.
Wow.
It's only been 1 year. I could be wrong.
To be that, for his routes to look that good, that's impressive, man.
When I watched him, some of his highlights, and I don't really want to say film because I didn't, but his highlights, to me, it looked like Odell Beckham. Quick, clean routes, great hands, like that quick twitch. He looked, to me, and it's just the way his body is, he looked like Odell to me.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the giant in me talking, but then again, I love Plaxico Burress, and Plaxico Burress looks a lot like Drake London.
He's reminiscent of that.
Huh?
He's reminiscent of that.
Yeah. So, just went to the other team that plays at MetLife. So, yeah, Breece Hall, I like a lot. And then the last kind of notable guys I want to talk about, which you alluded to earlier, it's a combination of Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, the two like stud running backs that are coming out in the draft. All that's going to come down to, we know their talent is great. Bijan obviously a little bit more than Jahmyr from what is being projected, at least. Like, we don't really know, but Jahmyr's the next Alabama back, which that's just a running back factory. And Bijan Robinson, like, it's going to come down to where they get drafted. They got to get drafted to a team that's going to immediately make them the number one running back.
Yeah.
And hopefully on a solid offense.
I have no doubt of that. I mean, Bijan in particular, just his measurables, like his profile for production, like all of those things are like tantalizing. They are kind of Saquon-esque. I don't think running backs will ever be taken. Like, I think Saquon was the start of a new era in terms of like the last great running back prospect, not the last great running back prospect, but the last great running back prospect to go that high in the draft before the league mentality kind of shifted towards
Can
pass catchers,
I
towards
gotta step in there real quick.
yeah.
A, I agree with you. B, it was not the league mentality. It was Dave Gettleman, who's a fucking dinosaur. That's why. The league had went ahead. Everybody, including Giants fans, were saying, Saquon is amazing. Do not take him at 2. Now, it kind of worked out because it was like, well, no, I mean, it didn't work out because, you know, revisionist history would say you should have taken Josh Allen.
Yeah.
But like, whatever.
And you would have all of the Super Bowl expectations with none of the Super Bowls. No, JK.
Amazing. No, the Giants would have won, dude. Come on, dude. If it was me, dude, if it was the Giants. No, yeah, so like everybody in the world loved Saquon, but it was like running back at number 2, and here they are now feeling like shit, we gotta pay a running back now because he's like the most explosive guy on our offense. You know?
Yeah.
I love Saquon. You know that. I love him. But I'm also like realistic about that situation. Anyways,
you're right.
I don't.
That was outlier. That was more of an outlier than a paradigm shift.
I mean,
right.
And you're also talking about now, Gettleman. You are great at seeing the most obvious back talent there is because he also drafted McCaffrey. He was the GM that drafted McCaffrey. I want to say 8th overall to the Panthers.
It's like that's your best ability as a talent evaluator, huh? That guy sure does look a lot faster than everybody else that's trying to tackle him.
Yeah. It's like trying to analyze like the best O lineman on a Pee Wee football. It's like the guy the kid that just hit the giant growth spurt at 10 years old is the one who's the beast. We know that. It's obvious. He's 5'10" and he's 13. Like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like guy's really good. Wow, he's so good.
Okay.
Gettleman. Just Gettleman.
Side note from a basketball guy. As a Magic fan for a long time, I get into watching some youth basketball or some like highlights or film, quote unquote, of draft prospects. The French guy Victor Wembanyama, like watching him against like players like because he's professional now, but in his amateur days, dude, it is so stupid to watch. Like you have no idea. Like it looks like you remember back in the days in elementary school when like our gym coach would play basketball with us and it was like a grown man among like a bunch of like 8-year-olds, 7-year-olds, whatever. Like that's what it looks like. It looks like ridiculous. Like he's like catching the ball like up here and taking like 10 seconds to make a decision, knowing that nobody's going to come up. And then he just takes 2 steps and dunks it over like a literally an innocent 7-year-old, but they're the same age. That's what reviewing the films of some of these great running back prospects looks like when they're in their amateur days.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and that's a position that just translates pretty easy to the NFL. It's the same deal. Find the hole, run through it. You know, there's and what's always the knock on the guy? He's got to get better in pass protection. You know what I mean? Like, that's
okay.
It.
But we don't care about that in fantasy. We just go run fast and get points.
The only time we care about it is if it's keeping them off the field. That's really it.
Yeah.
So
Bijan, I think for sure is going to go to a team that can use him, and I'm not even that concerned if he goes to a room that has a guy. I mean, you don't make an investment in a player because it's still going to be an investment. I think Bijan still goes in the first round. I think he has that kind of obvious pop off the field talent that is going to keep him somewhere in the first round. So he's going to go in the bottom half of the first round, running back trend, going to go to a team that obviously they're not going to make that investment if they don't need him.
Let's say the Chiefs take him.
All day. I'm doing it again. I'm doubling down. I know I got burned with Clyde. Bijan is not Clyde. I'm going to take him at a pretty irresponsible level. Like I'm gonna make a top investment if that's really what happens.
That's obviously just a major hypothetical. They may not. They might just draft defense for all. Who knows, dude? They
Yeah,
might draft a receiver. They could still use a receiver for as good as Mahomes is. He could use a receiver on his team that takes some pressure off Kelsey.
100%. But
So
no,
I mean, they can go a lot of directions, but I'm just saying that it's a hypothetical.
wherever Bijan Robinson goes, pretty much, bro, he's gonna be somewhere sniffing this top 12 list for me. Like, it's a young man's game. Love rookie running backs. In fact, like, to me, rookie RBs greater than signed rookie receivers. Typically, I know obviously some of those examples have been tremendous. But they just translate better to the game, and usually they come into situations where you don't draft a rookie running back if you don't need one. So, yeah, I'd be taking them pretty decently early.
With the 24th pick in the NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Bijan Robinson
Oh man,
after they signed Pollard.
oh,
Can you imagine that shit?
dude?
Like,
Honestly, probably not the worst idea in the world. From a pure football standpoint, to just ride Zeke off into the sunset and have a guy already
no,
waiting.
this would be
But,
after they re-signed Pollard to a multi-year guaranteed contract,
right.
and
It would make the fantasy community very sad.
we would be. I mean, especially as the fantasy footballers, Jason Moore is like, he's just like desperately, like every day he's just like praying to the gods that Bijan Robinson ends up on the Ravens or like some really good situation for him.
The
But
Bills, maybe whoever, like,
yeah, it's just a team that's gonna
there's a vacuum. There's a vacuum at running back.
yeah. And then when Jahmyr Gibbs goes in the second round to a team, hopefully it's the same kind of thing where he goes to a good team that is going to use him right away. And like it's very similar to the Breece Hall, Ken Walker situation where Ken Walker kind of was like, I say this loosely, but
In some ways, in comparison to Brees.
he was the later bloomer of early bloomers. The second running back taken that people kind of were like not as excited for.
There was already an incumbent who, of course, was destined to get injured, like the easiest invention of all time.
Rashad Penny is like going to be injured himself out of the league. But dude, great conversation. This will obviously change. I think we'll eventually do a NFL first round mock draft at some point. And we'll go over this and guess where these players go. But dude, who you got? Playoffs.
Oh yeah, we should probably talk about that, huh?
Yep.
Man, dude, these games are tough. These games are tough.
Well, the good news is that we can only get 2 wrong.
Yeah, no doubt.
You start. The first game is the San Fran Eagles game.
All right. I'm tripling down. On my cold take. I was wrong, and then I was wrong again, and I might be wrong a third time, but I'm taking the Eagles over the Niners. My conventional brain just literally cannot wrap my head around the fact that basically almost an undrafted player comes in their first year, leads a team to the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles match up with the 49ers. I think that Hurts is going to be the X factor. I think he is the X factor. I think the Niners have one of the best defensive lines in football and have been absolutely murking these quarterbacks. But he has the escapability. I think he's going to make enough plays, and he's the differentiation between 2 amazing rosters. One has a really high-level game manager. One has a game changer. And I think Hurts is the game changer in this game and ends up winning.
I like the analysis. 49ers, baby. I can't take the Eagles. You know that. I can't take the Eagles. But
he's rocking out with his Brock out.
hell yeah, I am. And dude, Brock's effective, period. That's my analysis. He's effective. I don't care. 49ers defense too dominant. I think that they are going to come in with a game plan that's going to neutralize Jalen Hurts as best as they possibly can. He's only containable. He's not stoppable. And I think it's going to be enough, man. I do. I think that they're going to – and I think DeMeco Ryans is going to outdo Nick Sirianni and whoever the offensive coordinator is for the Eagles. Like, I just love that magic they got going on right now. And yeah, I'm gonna take the 49ers. Next game, I'll go ahead and start that one. Bengals Chiefs. Cigar smoking Burrow, man.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I'm a big narrative guy when it comes down to this stuff because Burrow.
You love it. You do love it, and you've been right a lot of times on these narratives have come through.
Both guys are a cut above. They can handle the pressure. They make big plays when it counts most. You know, I think that the Chiefs in the last few games, while they've won them, they've started to get a little exposed, especially on the defensive side. And if Mahomes is hobbled at all, and, you know, it seems like one of those injuries that can very easily get re-injured.
That press conference and wasn't limping at all. I was shocked to see that. I don't know how much cortisol that is, but that was impressive.
Bro, he's going to come in a little hurt. And the question is, this is kind of messed up, but it's true. Defensive coordinator is going to be like, hit that fucking knee. Like he's going to do it because that's how you win. The best way to beat the Chiefs is to get Mahomes off the field. That's, you know, super high level thinking, right? But everybody knows that. And you got a guy who's coming in banged up. That's like, dude, first quarter, like, let's just blitz him to death and just smash the hell out of his knees. And
it does take a little bit of the element of his running away too, which you know, it kind of takes some fear away from the offense.
And it's like Mahomes doesn't have to run for yardage. He just has to run to keep the play alive and make something huge happen, which he very often does. If they can make him a pocket passer, he can still beat you. You know, he can still beat you, but it very much reduces the big play potential. And your defense can now play a little bit more straightforward. So anyways, I'm saying a lot of analysis just to say I'm taking the Bengals.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been a little devil's advocate on some of those takes. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I've got the Bengals too. I had them last week. I think they're playing great. If we're talking about just straight up in a vacuum, quarterback versus quarterback, it's still Mahomes for me. I still think he's just amazing in what he has the ability to do as a quarterback. But when you take that mystique away, the Patrick Mahomes magic, you take that away and you start breaking down the different units. Who has the better defense? The Bengals. Who can run the ball more effectively? The Bengals. Who has the better wide receiver room? The Bengals. So really what you're trying to say is you think Patrick Mahomes is so incredible, such a magician, so amazing, so creative that he is going to overcome all of that and win the game. He freaking can. He can. That's what's amazing about him, but I don't think he will. I'm taking the Bengals, and the X factor for me is Joe Burrow. He does not seem to feel pressure, man. He is the type of dude. He walks on the beach. He leaves footprints in the sand, and also a line in between both those footprints. If you understand what I'm saying.
I do. I very much do. Can confirm. No.
He just, dude, his confidence, man, that's crazy from such a young player. Like at first, I'll be honest with you. At first, I thought it was kind of like he was like doing like a bit, kind of like I thought he was like kind of coming in like trying to like fake it till you make it with like the confidence. But like the more I've seen it from week over week, like no, he's just that dude. He plays like he knows he's gonna win, and that's powerful.
Yeah, I mean that swagger's great. And not to say that Mahomes doesn't. Maybe it's not as like outward, but he's got the same level of swagger
Yeah.
in a way. He just his is not. He's not as extroverted with it, but he's confident too. Either way, there's other players on the field that I think the Bengals are just a little bit better. And yeah, this is the year to run it back and actually win the damn thing. So, all right, man, cool. Let's get into our fantasy picks. And you got the first pick this week. Same format. Less players to pick from, so less mistakes to be made for me. Hopefully.
Definitely still some mistakes that can be made for sure. Man, this is going to be interesting. I'm tempted. I'm really tempted to take. Yeah, I mean, I'm tempted to take him, and I am going to take him. It's McCaffrey.
Okay. You got McCaffrey?
I was between two guys. I'll let you pick.
Okay, so you're taking McCaffrey, right?
Yep.
All right, so let me just write this stuff down. Keith.
Not the most incredible matchup, but I just think he's so necessary to what I think that team's going to try to do.
Yeah, the guy's matchup proof. I'll just do my picks and I'll talk about it a little after. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Jamar Chase and I'm going to take Travis Kelce.
Yeah. I mean, that back-to-back is tough. That helped me a lot last time. That's a good back-to-back.
Yeah. So now you got your two.
Man, I really because it's like I've got good players still on the other side, but
just remember it's 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 pass catchers.
It's not a good matchup, but I'm just going to shoot my shot again with this guy. Give me AJ Brown. I think he has the ability to break one off at any time. So I'm gonna try to big brain that into fruition and Debo.
Okay.
All in against the team that I picked to lose.
All right, so AJ Brown, Debo Samuel. Okay. So I've got my 2 pass catchers, Chase and Kelce. So yeah, I'm going to take Mixon. And my next running back. So let's see who's available. Got Miles Sanders. Got Jerick McKinnon or Pacheco. And got Eagles Sanders, Pacheco. Yes. I don't like these options at all. So,
Yeah, and then how do you think I feel? I'm picking after you.
man, you know what? Screw it. I'll just take Burrow. 'Cause he's the QB I'd rather have.
Brr. Oh man, I love that. But I love that stack, by the way.
To me, Burrow, Chase, Mixon. Their offense better have a good game.
I'm gonna take Hurts.
Yeah, naturally. Hurts, and you got a running back to pick.
Yep. Man, do I let Miles Sanders disappoint me again? I know you know how that is.
You picked him higher than me. He's in your top 12, not in mine.
I know, but dude, that line, I can't. Like, I think Hurts gets somewhat of a decent rushing day because I think he'll make it to the outside a couple times, but I want no piece of running against that freaking wall. Dude, whatever. Give me circle jerk. I don't care.
Okay.
I'll
Jerick
ride
McKinnon.
circle jerk.
All right. So then that leaves me with, I can take Elijah Mitchell.
Honestly, not the worst possible thing you can do.
Yeah, can take Elijah Mitchell. I could take Boston Scott. You know what? I'll just take Sanders then, and
Okay.
hopefully he gets one of those elusive touchdowns.
It's so
All right,
funny.
man.
A part-time player in Jerick McKinnon, I think actually has maybe a higher likelihood of scoring a touchdown than the RB1 on one of the best rushing teams in football.
Right. Yeah, I mean, hey, he's been catching the ball like a ton in the later part of the season. Here's a question. I wonder where he goes next season. I have no idea where people are going to try to draft McKinnon.
He's
next
gonna
year.
go somewhere that's not my team.
Yeah, me too. But well, shoot, if Bijan does go to the Chiefs, then that conversation's done.
Yeah.
But all right, man. So just to recap, I have Chase, Kelsey, Mixon, Burrow, Sanders. Paul has. I know it. You can say it. Go for it.
McCaff, Debo, AJB, Hurts, and Cirque Jerk.
Yes, sir. So I need to make up
Your
a
team's
virtually.
scary. I'm honestly like, your team is good.
Said that last week, and it wasn't this. That didn't happen. So, yeah, I like your team. I think the QBs. It's gonna come down to all the QBs a lot.
Yeah.
Sanders and Jerick, our last picks are like crapshoots. I just need
Picking
I need the Burrow Chase stack to hit for
gonna
me.
feel really stupid with this one. Because like, how do we have like two running backs each?
Oh yeah, no, I know. Next week.
Yeah.
Who
We
cares?
might change up the format.
That'll be funny. That'll be funny to see like which backup running back scores more points.
Like probably the only people in America that are going to be watching the game being like, Eli Mitchell, please.
Right? Now there'll be some DFS people that are like, they'll take them or they have their like plus 600 bet like Eli Mitchell's to score a touchdown. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not much of a gambler. I know you like to gamble. Maybe we put like $20 on a stupid prop in the Super Bowl and see if we can F around and make some money.
You have to do it though. It's illegal in Georgia.
Yes, I excuse me. One of our friends out of state should help us out.
Oh, you're allowed. It's allowed in Florida. It's illegal in Georgia.
It's funny because like these things that I guess I don't know enough about the legality around it because frankly, like many other things in my life, I've been treating it like it's legal for a long time.
Jaywalk. Yeah, he's talking about jaywalking.
Yes, jaywalking.
Yeah, man. Jaywalking, oh, you do it all the time.
Jaywalking and jay other things too.
All right, bro. Well, been an episode again. Good times. I like how we disagree on things and agree on other things. So
yeah, man. That's
again, man.
Great. The greatness of debate. Love you, brother. Have a good weekend. Hopefully these games live up to the hype because they should be good. I picked the games the way I picked them, but I think they're close. They're close as hell. It's gonna be good football.
We better have some good games. But all right, bro. Good talking to you, and thank you again for joining New World Fantasy Football. Talk to y'all later.